Dear viewer, we wish you a pleasant journey through this thread of answers. Nurses of Reddit, what's the most entertaining thing someone has said coming off of anesthesia? Patient here with a great story nonetheless. When I got my wisdom teeth removed, I apparently had a religious experience. I'm agnostic. I told my mom, who was with me, that I saw people walking on water. Next, I kept telling her that I saw Jesus. Apparently, when the female nurse came back into the room, I did the Catholic sign of the cross and whispered to my mom, "That's him. That's Jesus." The nurse lost her poop. When I got my wisdom teeth out, the nurse was trying to wake me up and said, "Okay, it's time to open your eyes. Can you open your eyes for me?" I said, "Say please." She said please very nicely, and I opened my mouth as wide as I could. This reads like a John Mulaney joke and I love it. A man asked me if his body parts still belong to him and I still think about it. Lamau. Probably wanted to make sure kidneys coming in equaled kidneys coming out. Kidney equilibrium. It's kidney equilibrium. I had a male patient who as he woke up mumbled, "I'm not pregnant. I hope I say some stupid poop when I go under for wisdom teeth removal lol. I'm pregnant, pregante?" I was coming out of anesthesia and the nurses in the recovery room were all poking fun at each other about which Hogwarts house they would be in. Me, according to my ex-wife, I'm a house elf. Ex-wife. Obviously, she gave you a sock at some point. Did a short stint in recovery as part of my graduate program. I got proposed to a couple of times. Same guy would walk past me in the corridor a day later and not recognize me. How rude. Proposes and then ignores you just because he didn't like your reply. Not a nurse, but my twin sister started speaking fluent Spanish to my mom after she woke up from getting her wisdom teeth removed. We're half Puerto Rican, on our mom's side, so we've grown up hearing Spanish, but neither of us had ever carried a fluent conversation with her in it. But apparently my doped up sister could. NGL, I took Spanish in high school and when I'm drunk I can carry on full conversations. Sober, not so much. My German is so much better drunk. I think it's cause you don't overthink as much. Me, coming out of it at the dentist's office, me, you have to save them. Dentist, save who? Me, the OWLS. Dentist, what owls? Me, the owls trapped inside the gas machine, they were hooting, I could hear them. You have to save them. Was a student nurse for 2 semesters. On a placement in a post-op ward, an old guy had a reaction to the aesthetic, thought he was back in the Korean War, kept trying to get out of bed to help his mates, the 2 nurses couldn't figure out how to stop him, they called security. Meanwhile, I walked up and in my most officious sounding voice said to the nurse I was partnered with, "Stand down, Lieutenant, I'll take over from here." She looked confused but moved aside. I said to him, "Soldier, you took some shrapnel, you need to rest and recover, now stand down or I'll have you court-martialed for insubordination, understood?" He looked at me for a second, looked around, replied nice and loud "Yes ma'am," and went back to bed. This is exactly how to respond to anyone having a hallucination in a situation like this. Do not try and tell them it's not real, you will only make them anxious and angry. Very well done. Also not a nurse, but I had ankle surgery last year. They gave me animal crackers after and I remember being really upset that I didn't realize until the last cracker that I forgot to look at the animals and appreciate each one. One does not simply eat animal crackers without acknowledging which animal they're about to eat. But in your case I think you had a good excuse. It was such a missed opportunity and I still have regrets lol. Not a nurse. My wife woke up from a surgery and started pointing into the middle of the room and in a soft voice said, F you and you. What's that smell? She then looked over at me and says, "When did you get here ya asshat lol." She doesn't cuss much, so I got a good laugh out of it. Not a nurse, but was in charge of my sister after she got her wisdom teeth out. Got her in the car and she was bawling. Wouldn't stop crying and trying to put her fingers in her mouth. Mind you, she was 20 at the time. I got her back to my apartment, and she's having a hard time staying upright, so I'm helping support her as we walk up to the door. She's still crying, but is now trying to do a heel click. We almost fall over. My neighbor sees us and runs over to help open my door. We get her inside. She then proceeds to spend another hour crying about how she wants to write a Harry Potter / Pride and Prejudice crossover ballet, in which she would play Dumbledore, Lizzie Bennet, and Mr. Darcy herself. I then asked her who I would play. She said Hedwig and Mr. Collins. That's when it stopped being entertaining. I once told the nurses to stop. I wasn't asleep yet. I wasn't ready. They laughed and said they were done. Another time I came out saying sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Almond Joy has nuts, mounds don't. No clue why I was singing this, but the nurses thought I was hilarious and let family know this happened. Had that for a wisdom tooth removal. Woke up, asked when they were putting me out, they said I was done. I then sat up, and felt like the fun part of a week-long bender. At the dentist I woke up like a shot from anesthesia, got up, and ran through the office, dental assistants chasing me. I ran to the washroom, still drugged up, looked into the mirror and while pawing my numb face said I need to make sure I don't look like Joan Rivers. I laughed out loud at this. God bless. We had to slide board a patient from the stretcher to his bed after an endoscopy. You put a board between bed and stretcher and then grab patient and slide them over to bed with sheet underneath them. My patient screamed "Way!" and then proceeded to tell us that these are the best drugs ever and that it felt like the 60s again. This gave me joy to read, haha. I came out of it in the middle of a conversation with Gandalf. I was trying to sell him Tupperware. You sir have made me laugh for 5 minutes straight. So, did he buy your Tupperware? You've seen the way those hobbits wrap their cheese. They're a lovely folk, but if they tried to wrap lembas you'd have a leaf full of crumbs by the prancing pony. No, Mr. Gandalf, a traveling wizard like yourself needs something hearty. And you're in luck, I'm willing to trade for some of your wonderful sky flowers. Though my, wife has insisted she be here to hear the exact instructions on the, dragony one. Yes. Middle-aged woman with obvious surgical enhancements coming off of anesthesia from a diagnostic procedure. I was listening to her lungs with my stethoscope and told her all right, nice big breaths. She said thanks, I just got them done. It was so hard to compose myself, haha, now I say deep breaths. Ha ha ha, this is the first one to make me laugh out loud. What would have been your answer or question? Leave it in the comments below. Slap that like and subscribe button for more, and check out the link in the video description for even more answers. Peace out, and catch you in the next video.